My brothers and sisters, as I sat down to pray today's readings and gospel and to prepare for my homily, I found myself being flooded with an avalanche of scripture verses, a whirlwind of Jesus' words, and a firestorm of insights, stories, and parables. But Lord, homilies have to be focused and directed. Slow down. How can I make sense out of this chaos and confusion? My message won't be understood. It'll get swamped by giant waves of deep thoughts and insights. And then it happens. A tiny little question whispered to me, "Oh, your message?" You see, God's message in our readings and gospel today is not about overcoming the laws of nature. It's not about navigating violent storms. And it's certainly not about seeking safety and security from earth-shattering events either. Remember, in our first reading, the Lord told Elijah to leave that cave where he had taken shelter and to go outside to withstand some pretty earth-shattering events. And Jesus sent his friends out to be tossed about by a violent storm for most of the night. And so, just what is the Lord's message for us in all of this, then? Well, sisters and brothers, you and I are facing a very dangerous situation today, aren't we? I mean, there is a literal firestorm sweeping through our generation. Suddenly, we've found ourselves in the middle of an angry sea, rowing our little boats against a massive headwind. And it looks like violent waves could soon capsize us, leaving us to flounder in the deadly waters. Right? And yet, as dangerous as all these events are, none of it even comes close to the total destruction brought about by our greatest enemy, which God has hidden in plain sight throughout all the scriptures, and especially in our readings and in our gospel today. So what is it then? Well, it's fear. You see, fear confuses us. Fear paralyzes us. It destroys our relationships. Fear renders us powerless in the face of opposition. And worst of all, fear actually blinds us from recognizing our deliverance, even when it's right in front of us. "It's a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. Imagine. My friends, of all the dangers, all the trials and tribulations that you and I are facing today, fear is by far the most insidious enemy of them all. So let's you and me unmask. Let me unmask this for you. A horrendous lie. This lie is seducing us. It is seducing most of the world today. In the extreme turbulence of today's environment, fear is actually being promoted as if fear were a virtue for us to practice and for us to encourage others to practice as well. Think about it. In the extreme turbulence of today's environment, fear is actually being promoted as if fear were a virtue for us to practice. Not only that, a virtue for us to encourage others to practice as well. My friends, we are saved by faith and not by fear. Actions arising out of fear paralyze faith, actually. But you know what? Faith destroys all fear. Go outside and stand on the mountain before the Lord. And the Lord will be passing by. Not in any earth-shattering events that you see, but the Lord will be passing by in a tiny, whispering voice. What is that? It's the voice of Christ within you. Listen.